Well, good morning, guys. It's been a while, probably about a few weeks since I put out a video. Been wanting to get one out, but I just haven't had a chance. I've been really busy with work, and then when I'm not working, just doing stuff around home. But there's a few things I wanted to share with you guys today. One, I want to kind of give you a insight as to how the gardens are doing, as well as show you a little creature that's pretty destructive around here this year. So hang around and I'll talk to you about the browntail moth caterpillar that's in full force right now in our front yard. So as you can see, the trees have leafed out nicely now. Leaves are full size. But then you look up towards our big oak trees, and they're completely bare. There's some leaves on the low branches, but for the most part, those 100-plus-year-old oak trees, they're about 80 to 100 feet tall, have been completely stripped of their leaves. And the cause of that is the browntail moth. It's become more and more of an issue, more towards the mid-coast of Maine, southern Maine, but apparently they're spreading further and further inland each year. And we saw the webs up in the tops of those trees this past winter, and there wasn't anything we could do about it. They say to remove the webs and trees sometime in February and March. But obviously with them being that high up, there was nothing we could do about it. Well, the moths emerged this spring and they've completely defoliated those big oak trees. It's a pretty sad sight. Everything else is coming in really nicely, and the minute those leaves started coming out, they ate them all. The other thing with the browntail moth is not only is it destructive with the trees, but it's also really irritating. They have all these fine little hairs on the body of the caterpillar itself, and if you get that hair on your skin, you can get a really nasty rash. So every time we mow our yard, we haven't been mowing up underneath the trees up there. I usually weed whack around the rock walls and stuff, and I haven't done that this spring because I don't want to get that nasty rash. But so this right here is a browntail moth caterpillar, and the giveaway for them is those two red dots on the tail end, on the top of the back there. You can see those red dots and see all the hairs on the caterpillar. Those are the ones, if you get those on you, they'll give you a pretty bad rash. But this is a smaller oak tree on the side of the rock wall here on the side of our yard. You see it's got all its leaves in, but it's loaded with these caterpillars, so it's probably just a matter of a couple weeks before this is completely defoliated as well. Really, these guys, they're low enough to kill. We could either spray the tree with something down here or try to kill them, but at this point it's pointless because there's so many of them around. It'd be a constant job of trying to keep up with it. We've been going around all the sugar maples and stuff that we planted in our yard, trying to shake the caterpillars out and kill them when we can, but you can only go around so much, so often. And when there's windy days here, all the caterpillars come flying out of the trees and they're crawling around in the yard, and then they go up in the closest tree they can get to, which happens to be the smaller trees here in our yard. The funny thing is, this is an ash tree right here, and that's a sugar maple back there, and they haven't touched those. They will eat them, but they prefer to eat oak trees. We're even in the pine as well, and they're actually starting to make these little webs. So in a few of my videos, I'm sure you've seen this area, the road up in front of the property. It's a different scene this year. You can see there's still some leaves, but I'm not so sure they're gonna last much longer. It's just a matter of time before the rest of them are eaten. But this is usually a nice thick canopy of leaves through here. It's usually a beautiful spot in the summer. Any time of the year really, but especially in the summer when all the leaves are out. And it's pretty sad to see. The only thing that'll kill these guys is a fungus that they usually get in them if you have a really wet spring. Well, we have it exactly the opposite of that this year. It's been the driest, really the driest last month that I can remember. We've only received probably about 1/4 of an inch of rain over the last month. And this is usually our wet season, so it's pretty crazy how dry it's been. And it's been ideal for these guys to just take off and really multiply. You can see just how big these trees are. Those logs there, the pile of wood that we've got, that's normal. I would say those are normal tree logs, good sized tree logs. And look how big these oak trees are. They're massive. I mean, look at that. It's amazing the damage they can do. You see all the clumps of them eating these leaves here. There's a bunch of caterpillars getting all the rest of these low leaves. The frustrating thing is it's just this area right in front of the house along the road here. Look down there. There's a bunch of oak trees all the way down the road here. And they're completely fine, not even touched. I'm sure going forward, in the years coming forward, if something doesn't take care of these caterpillars, they'll spread right down the road. But for right now, they're just right in front of the house. This is what it usually looks like. And this is what it looks like this year. And it sounds like it's raining. I wish it was, but it's not. It's the caterpillars pooping. It's pretty gross. We were also plowing through this firewood pile here, and I've completely stopped cutting it while these caterpillars are out because the tree, as you can see, is right above the pile. So there's caterpillars all throughout that wood. And again, I don't feel like getting that rash. So we're gonna wait until they've gone for the season. And they don't really go away, they just turn into moths. And once they're in moth form, they're not harmful. But the problem is the hairs that they lose can last a couple of years in the leaf litter on the ground. So when we do firewood, I'm gonna be wearing long sleeves and pants like normal and gloves. But pretty crazy stuff. When you look at that shot right there, it looks like midwinter. You'd never know that it's the middle of June until you look around and you see how green everything else is. And there's Jovi. Oh, and Millie. Hey guys. Hey. Oh. Apparently they like to bite. Silly goats. Apparently they've been doing that quite a bit. 'Cause look at all the hair on the fence. That's funny. You using that as a scratching post? Huh? Huh? I have a brush up against the wall in there. You don't want to use that? Meanwhile, Millie looks pretty comfortable. Hey, Jop. Hey, Joplin. Hey. Hi. The bees are doing great this year. It was nice to see them make it through the winter. They've been really busy over the past couple weeks. All the wildflowers are starting to bloom in the fields around here. So they've been busy bringing pollen in. They're a little quieter this morning. It's pretty cool out actually. Right now it's about 55 or 56 or so. It was down into the mid 40s this morning, which was kind of nice. It's been a really weird spring. Like I was saying earlier, it's been bone dry. Typically this is our wetter season and we haven't had any rain, barely any rain. And it's been pretty cool. We've had little bursts of heat. We had a couple days a few weeks ago where it was up to 90 degrees. And then 2 mornings after that, we had a really hard freeze. We got down to around 27 or 28 degrees. And this was June 2nd when that happened. So a lot of the new growth on all of our annuals and perennials around the yard got killed, as well as a lot of the native trees that are just growing up naturally in the edge of the woods and stuff. All the new growth on those got killed back. It was the latest freeze that I can remember around here. So we had to replant a lot of stuff in the gardens. We made this new bed here for all these squash and pumpkin plants. Got a little patch of ever-bearing strawberries, some blueberries. Then you saw the garden, the veggie garden over there. Everything's coming up good now. raspberries. We moved those earlier actually late last season. We have a patch in the woods, a nice open area. We tried to grow some squash and pumpkins down here last year, but the weeds took over, and it's a little too far for the hose to reach. So we put the raspberries down here instead. They're a drier crop, and they usually take over the weeds themselves. So they seem to be doing pretty good. I wish we'd get a little bit of rain, but they actually look really good. You can see all the raspberries in here. They're looking great. Those little dead stems are the ones that were the 2-year-olds, so we can come in here anytime and cut those out. And then the tall green ones are the ones that'll bear some fruit this year. There's actually little raspberries on all of them, which is a good sign. And then all the new shoots are starting to come up around those for next year. Came in here and weed whacked everything a couple days ago. There's our maple syrup boiler under a tarp there. We put a little bit of manure from the barn here to compost for the raspberries. It's amazing how quick the terrain, the scene changes from season to season. Everything's all greened up now. It would be even more so if it was a little wetter. It's been so dry. I know I've said that already. But it really is unheard of to be this dry this time of year. This is more like August or September is usually when we're this dry, and even then we're never this dry. So it's a little nerve-wracking to see it this dry right now and know that the dry season's still ahead of us. I guess the one benefit of it being dry is the bugs haven't been bad. Black fly season, which is usually really bad around here, only lasted about 2 weeks. And then the mosquitoes really, they come out in the evening once the sun goes down. If you're out in the woods like this, forget it, they'll probably carry you away. But other than that, they haven't been bad at all. Like right now I'm walking around out here and there's nothing. The ticks have been pretty bad, but that's to be expected. They always are. I don't think anything's gonna make them go away. Sugar maple. Nice to see everything greening up again. I'll head back up the hill to the yard. There's the meat chickens. We've got them in the goat pasture to keep the fox away from them. There goes the bluebird. We've got a family of bluebirds nesting in this birdhouse next to my weather station here. And we've got a few chicks that we hatched in a brooder. See if I came with a focus. So these three we hatched from the brooder. We've got some more eggs in the brooder right now, but these are egg layers. You can see they're trying to get out. We'll see how many we get from the next batch. And then right above them, See if I can get a little closer. We have some flycatchers that keep nesting in our garage. So that nest right up there is an old one. And then, as you can see, there's little guys in there. I think 3 of them. They're getting pretty big. Well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get some more videos out on a more regular basis now that I've got a little bit more time, hopefully, going forward. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.